cockroaches. That's how they do their time. Because guess what? You can't do it forever. I wish I would have saved that. Save that money, baby, because you won't look like that forever, girlfriend. I don't want to spend 10 more years in the penitentiary.
No.
To learn that lesson all over again. My family, my kids, that's what is most important.
If you could talk to your younger self, what would you advise your younger self?
Honestly,
this call is from a federal prison.
Misunderstood, yeah. Judged by the cover. Misunderstood, yeah. From one to another.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and after doing 20 years in and out of prison, I'm finally home, and I'm here to share my story and to help others that have gone through the same experiences I have.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and I'm her mom, and together we're here to make a difference from the inside out. So let's roll it. Tiffany, what are we going to talk about today?
Oh, yeah.
Recidivism?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to talk about aging out of prison and recidivism. I can't say that word. Anyways, we're talking about how high recidivism is.
Recidivism. She can't say that. She's going to botch it.
The whole way.
Uh-huh. And I think the reason why we decided to talk about this is because the other day when we were in the car, you were really reflecting on your age and how life has just gone by. And if you, like, your now self could have been then. And you know what I'm saying? Fast forward, that you probably would not have continued to go back and make the same mistakes, because when you're younger, you don't even think about that, right?
No. Yeah, because when I was younger and I was getting in trouble, so what, from like 16 on, like when I was really in the thick of it, like when I was 17, started dancing, like I swear, I thought that I had like the world by the balls. You don't really think about getting older, especially not thinking about getting older in prison when you're young, beautiful, just living life, just thinking you're the shit, you know? And anyway, so yeah, I was thinking like, wow, if I could have told my young self, just, you better slow down, girl, because you're about to age out in prison. Because
and maybe listen to your mommy.
Right. Yeah. Listen to your mom, especially to kids that are acting up out there for real. If I would have just settled down and actually, listen to my mom and quit thinking that I knew everything. I mean, I don't regret my life, obviously, because I wouldn't be who I am today, and there's no changing that, you know?
No. And regrets aren't, they're non-productive, right?
Correct.
But when you think about everything that you've missed out at home, you know, so 20 much. Years in and out, and, you know, so much of family time and all that stuff. But when you're young and you're, you know, you've just got that
hair up your butt,
and that just drive for excitement. You always, from the get-go, from the time you were born, you were very independent. You didn't even really want to like cuddle, drink a bottle. Like you wanted to drink a bottle in your car seat. You were like, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be my own little person.
Right.
From the get-go. From the jump.
Yeah. Right. I think Bo's kind of like that, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I kind of know nothing about that. But yeah, I remember being like that too. Like from the moment I could ride my bike by myself, and we lived in Irvine, I'd just roll down to the store, see what kind of trouble I could get into. Got hit by a car one time, and I like tapped, and I was like, "Don't tell my mom."
Brought a mouse home. Yeah,
I was just. And then once I got old enough to start dancing, it was kind of a wrap, you know. But then started selling drugs, and then I went to prison, and then I thought it was cool that I was going to prison because we were all over the news. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm a badass. And that was when I was 19, 20 years old. When the indictment actually hit 21, I was like, oh yeah. But then,
which is so weird. Like did you really feel like that? Because when we went to court for you, I was freaking out. I thought you were freaking out, but you weren't even scared, really? Like, were you like you probably didn't even realize what was happening?
Yeah, no, they gave me. I did not know. I didn't realize I was going to spend 10 flat years in prison, and then after that, it was going to keep reoccurring. I didn't know. Hell no, I didn't realize that. But really, though, at 21, 22, you don't even realize what 10 years from now is going to be.
Right, because you're so young.
Correct. So you're like, you have your whole life ahead of you. You just have all this life. And so that's kind of what I thought was going to, but then I got out, and then I was 31 and I got out, and then we moved to this place I had never been to, and so all that excitement. But then it was like those 10 years from 31 to 41 went by so fast. So it's just like all that young time. And then I kept going back into prison and out, in and out of prison. And
That 10 years did not go fast for me or
No.
anybody else.
Yeah.
Because every year, well, for the first 5 years when you were in the state, every year I would write a letter, and grandma would write a letter to the parole board,
Right.
thinking that you were going to get out. Because surely, you weren't a violent criminal.
No, you're talking about the prison 10 years?
Yeah, when you were in the...
Oh, no, I'm talking about when I got out. And then from 31 to 41, that gap when I got out and I kept going back to like that last little bit of 10 years of youth that I had left.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, that was long. Like my bid was,
that was so long.
It takes like 4 or 5 years when you're in prison, like the first 2 years are the hardest because it's like really hard to like get settled in and
Get
like,
acclimated.
Correct. And if you've never been to prison before, like, yeah, it's like a whole new world, And county time's the longest of all of it because it's just dead ass time where you're just doing nothing and you're just wasting away
And they leave you in there, right?
yeah. So I was sitting county. I sat county for
Until
like
you actually are
almost 2 years one
sentenced
time. And the feds take forever to sentence you. They're like, oh my god.
And you're in a
Forever.
county, and you're in the county during that process, even with the feds.
Federal
You're-
holdover, yeah. It has to be like a county that's contracted with the feds.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So it has to be somewhat of a kept jail because the contract with the feds, they pay like.
So let's talk about why do you think people keep going back? Like, so now that and they do talk about, didn't you say something about the age 40 or 41 or something? That's when people, the recidivism goes down so much. So tell me why you think from the time you go in as a young person till then, why do you keep repeating that pattern?
Right. So I feel like it's like kind of like, cause like I said, like when you're young, you just don't realize how fast time goes, and you don't realize all the years you're losing because when you're young, you just feel like you want to be older anyways. You know what I mean? Like you just feel like you just got all this life and you don't really realize what's going to happen once you reach 35. And once you hit 35, it speeds up.
Right.
Completely speeds
just
up.
goes fast.
Yeah, you don't realize that
Right.
when you're young. And so I think that things just don't click in your brain to change yet. Like you just don't really like that to like change my life. There's like a very small percentage of people that honestly, truthfully, really get their shit together. And that's the recidivism.
Yeah,
that's why it's so high.
Yeah, and that's so interesting too because you were 35 when you had Liam, your son, and I remember, when I had him, because you had him in prison, and I went and got him. I thought surely, because you had already been in and out, getting in trouble. I thought surely this little guy is going to change it.
Yeah.
It's just going to change it.
Yeah.
But then you get out, and I feel like just, again, we've talked about the system setting you up for failure. Like
Totally.
really, you're excited to get out, but at the same time you're scared. And thankfully you had me and a family to come to. There's a
Because
lot of people
don't
that
have a family to go to.
They don't
just have the halfway house, and then when we get to the halfway house,
Right.
it's like
and that's scary in itself.
a lot of people go to the halfway house with absolutely nothing, And I have been fortunate enough to have my family because I've always had my family. Like I have fucked up a lot in my life, like a lot. Like I've done a lot I have mastered messing up, and my family has been there, like behind me. Like, I mean,
yeah, because we love you. Just when I say love you unconditionally, not meaning enabling.
I was just gonna say not meaning
enabling, but just loving you because you are our child and
just being there,
brother, sister, and whatever, aunt, grandchild. But there's a lot of people that don't have that, and
when I say loving in prison, I don't mean be like financially because she had my son. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like Like, oh, send me money like that. Because I didn't ask
But I was
for
doing
money.
it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you were doing it before. Yeah, but then after a while, though, no, but after a while going back,
Right.
no, she wasn't because I didn't deserve.
I would tell her all the time.
I didn't
too.
deserve the help then.
You go back and we're done. I'm not going to
fortunate-
talk to you
I'm
anymore.
just fortunate that I had people that would take care of me.
Right.
So I wasn't going to ask my mom for any money. I wasn't going to do that because I was ashamed. Like I had already been down this road. Like
Yeah, feeling horrible.
feeling horrible. Yeah. So I was just grateful that she had my son and still talking to me because it was more important to me she was talking to me than giving me money. It wasn't about money. You know?
But I remember though, every time you'd go back, I'd be like, next time you go back, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to send you money.
Yeah.
And then
Right. I was just grateful you were still talking to me. Shit. But a lot of people don't have that. But like I was saying, like it's easy to get back in the cycle of the things that you were doing that sent you to prison because it's all you know. B, it's easy, fast money, you know, no matter what. Or C, you were wrapped up in something that you couldn't get out of. When you went to prison, that happens a lot too. People were wrapped up in stuff before they got locked up. And then when they get out, they're still locked into it because they are born into it. They have family that's in it, or they owed money to the people, you know.
don't you feel like also though that like your hair is falling out right now. You and I said, you know, you're probably stressed, Tiffany. And she's like, no, I'm really not stressed. Well, when you're in a fight or flight mode, mostly fight mode all the time because you're so used to being in that mode in prison that when you're out of it, she's like, I'm not even stressed. But
Right.
your body is still always so stressed. And it's a different kind of stress though. Like you need to get a job. You need to reconnect with your son. You need
Right.
to do all these things that you're not used to doing. But when you're in prison, you pretty much like, you know, you're going to eat, you know, you're going to sleep, you know, you've got your friends that, you know, you walk across.
Yeah, but it's weird because there's just so much other stress in there because it's not stress.
No,
you
it's
know
just
what I'm saying?
different.
So
It's just a different kind of stress.
because my hair is gone right
But you're
now.
not, but when you're in there, you're not thinking, well, you've already got your hustle or whatever you're doing, right? So you're not thinking, oh my God, I got to get a job and I'm a felon and I'm, you know, my esthetician license and now I've got to build a
Clientele.
Now I got to build a clientele. And again, you're lucky because you're here.
Yeah,
you
I am.
you live in a comfortable house with a family that's supportive, but
Yeah.
there's so many people that don't have that.
And that's why a lot of people go back too, because they just go back to what they do because they don't have that, you know. But needless to say, the whole being 41 and my points dropping is because my recidivism has been so high for so long that my points dropped. And it made me, I'm still a high, but it made me I'm like 6 points away from being a low. And when you turn like 50, it does it again because the older you get, the less likely you are to go back to prison. Because now, my now self, like I was saying to you, I reflected like, damn, I don't have another 10 years to give the feds.
Right.
Like I don't have another 10 years for them.
Yeah, because what have I always said to you, even when you
You
turn
have the
40?
whole rest of your life ahead of you.
You have honey, it's okay. You have your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah.
You can't say that at 50.
No, you can't.
I mean, you could say,
You have a
Tiffany,
good, you can fix your life now. You can have a good life,
Yeah.
but not the whole rest of your life ahead of you
Right.
because
it is the rest of your life. It's just not a lot of years.
Right.
But you're still okay. You still have your whole life ahead of you. You're only 41.
I guess, but it's sad. It really is sad. But I do see a lot more people that are my age that get out that stay out because like they've got to think like I do.
Yeah.
I don't got it in me. Like feds don't just give out little candy bids. They give out 10 years. Like unless you tell, then you get to get 5 years off your 10-year bid, but then everybody knows you freaking told.
Yeah,
so
then
you have to
you're-
walk the
that-
yard
yeah.
like a fucking snitch. Does anybody want to do that? I don't personally, you know what I mean? So,
Do they know that you did when
Yeah,
you're in there?
especially for the men. Yeah, because guys will be like, let me see your paperwork.
What?
Yeah, like ours has to bring his paperwork with him at every compound he goes to show. And they don't even give you your paperwork. His lawyer has to send him his paperwork because the men they want to know if you're a chomo or a snitch. A chomo is a child
Wow.
molester for everybody that doesn't know what that means. There you go. Yep. And they want to know what you are. And in the women's prison, women are so weak sometimes though. They don't even care. They just mingle with all of each other. But yeah, when someone's
And do that drug.
That damn K2 shit. Yeah, they just get high and don't even care. They look like
Fall over.
cockroaches. Like, that's how they do their time. All fucked up.
What was that noise that one person was doing?
They make noises like that on K2. They look retarded. I mean, like, for real, who's like self-induced retardation?
I'm sorry, it's terrible to laugh, but it's
And he
why
has his
would
finger in his
anybody
mouth. I'm
do
just not gonna make
that?
myself look like that right now, but he has finger in his mouth and making that noise, and then threw up his tuna all over his bunky's bed.
That's
the boy girl, but
disgusting.
yeah. But anyways,
Not
yeah, so the
funny.
women, that's
Not
just kind of like women. I mean, men get high too, but the women are they just don't. But who's a snitch, because if they got like, say like there's a big drug charge you got and the mandatory minimum is 10 years, right? And if they got 5 years and they just had like 4 kilos or whatever and you got 4 years, 5 years, well, you told on somebody.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, but my husband told me to. No, he didn't.
Told me to what?
Tell on me.
Snitch?
Yeah, you told me to tell on him. Did he though? Your partner told you to tell on him, because I don't think my partner would have told me to tell on him.
I'm
Like,
sure.
I think he pretty much. I think ours was pretty much always like, like we both had an agreement. If anything ever happens, don't talk about it. Like, just let it happen.
So the older you get, the less likelihood that you're going to go back in. So
Right.
what about people that are like old and they
Okay, so
have
then
nobody,
there's also people that would rather be there than out here because they've been locked up for so long.
and they got nothing going.
Right, and they have nothing, and they're just comfortable there because they can work like wherever, the kitchen or whatever it is, make their little measly dollars, sell some K2 in there on the side, make their bread, stack their little change and live their life like that. Also, there's different levels of like clout sometimes in there, a lot of times, so like there's like, you got this old school OG in there that's like got a lot of clout.
Oh,
in
then
there,
they're
and
just
then he
walking
gets
around.
out
They're just walking around like the
thinking
king
they're
of the
shit.
hill.
Yes, yeah, they do. And then they get out, and then they don't have that status quo anymore,
Right, of
Because you're in a
course.
world full of people.
And you're a felon.
No, I'm talking about in general, not even just being a felon, but just in general, you don't
Well,
have
I'm
that.
saying you're a felon. You've got no way of supporting yourself, and
you're not cool anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because you're not around a bunch of people
Right.
like you. Yeah,
Right.
so then they're like, well, I'm just going to, I don't think they necessarily are like, hey, I'm going to go back, but I think that it's just easier for them to fall back in that lifestyle because then they get the status quo again. Then they go back and then they're the same, glorified OG they were in prison. Whereas out here, they weren't that glorified person anymore. I don't know. That happens a lot too. But
Cameron, our research person, have you been researching to see what the stats are on
Yeah, looking at
For men and women?
recidivism?
there's one specifically on people like over the age of 60. There's still a 16% chance.
60 or 16?
16. but
16,
then
okay.
here,
So then what about when you're like 20, what's your recidivism rate?
Between 25 and 39, it says roughly 68%.
that's high. Yeah.
That's just crazy.
50, yeah.
It's when you hit 50 is when it goes down.
Starts to, like once you go 40 plus, there's more of a 50% chance rate.
Right.
Still 50 though.
No, it's still pretty high.
Still 50.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
Because people still don't see that they're, the life expectancy of a human being is not near as long, now, because I feel like everything's so unhealthy, the way they feed us, these food like substances.
life expectancy is pretty long.
Do you think so?
Yeah, 80s.
Yeah, 80s, but.
Well, 80s is still not
Right,
young.
so, it's like, I just can't, right now, my brain is like, I'm 41.
Yeah, you got half your life left.
Exactly. So I'm definitely not going to go back so I can go back for 10 more years. And then 50, it's like, no. So 10 years, I don't know. I just want to have a little bit of youth in this world,
She just wants to be young and pretty in this world before she gets old.
Because I've had no years of it in the world. I was like, oh, that's messed up. Right. We talked about that. Wow. All them good years I just wasted on a bunch of bitches. A bunch of women.
You're still going to have a lot of youth left in you and prettiness. I'm old.
And you look beautiful.
I don't look too bad.
Yep. That's great. Good genes. And you're still a little whippersnapper to be doing it all. You work out every day.
Work out every day.
Go to St. Thomas. Wear an adorable little
that's
bikini.
why I'm tan, guys.
You look beautiful in a bikini.
I don't tan in a tanning bed. I just got back from paradise.
Yeah. So yeah.
And I cried actually when I came
that
back.
I have good genes and it's all going to be good.
Yeah. For sure.
So there's life left in me. But irregardless, I don't want to spend 10 more years in the penitentiary.
No.
To learn that lesson all over again.
No, and plus you want to see your son grow up too.
No, all the way. My family, my kid, and my son. That's
exactly
what matters, literally. That's just a side. Well, we were just talking about a side note.
Yeah.
What matters is my family and my kid.
Silly.
Yeah, definitely. My family and my kids. That's what
Yeah.
is most important, because I couldn't imagine coming out and he's 20.
So if you could talk to your younger self at this point, because we're probably going to wrap it up. I mean, we could go on forever and talk about something different. But with this subject, though, if you were to advise your younger self, and I didn't give you a chance to think about this question before the show, what would you advise your younger self? Because, I mean, it would be really cool at some point, because we want to give back and help people that, you know, maybe you could talk to younger people and say, hey, idiot, don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. And then why? Why wouldn't you do what you did? You know, because young kids are not going to listen. They're going to be like, oh, whatever, you know?
Honestly, like, if I could tell my younger self, yes, live your life, you know what I mean, to its fullest, because clearly you can't change I can't change the fact that I wanted to live life like all the way. You know what I'm saying? So
right, but make good choices.
like I would tell myself, like, yeah, you're gonna go to prison for a long time selling drugs, like, or you can just slow down, down and think twice. Just think ahead. Think about the outcome. Like, for real, what it really boils down to is that knowing that you're gonna go to prison is one thing, but if you really think about what's going to happen, if you really think it through, you know, like you really think about what's going to happen if you do something, which is something I've never done. I never stopped to think about
the consequences,
or what's going to happen. I would always think about what's the next thing I'm going to do, you know, and then but basically that's like the biggest tool that I think that I would advise anybody is to think about the consequences. Because
slow down, slow your roll.
Yeah, straight up.
Think about it.
Slow down and trust your struggle. Like, trust the process, because it might be hard now, but I promise you, it's going to be a whole lot harder once you get in the system. Because once you get in that system, they're not going to let you out easy.
No,
they don't let you out easy.
They set you up to fail.
You go back to prison several times.
I mean, you know, the system really does. We've got to.
Which is a big reason why the recidivism is so high, because the system doesn't let you go. So you violate for anything. And then when you violate, then you go back, and then you get back out, and then you miss a UA, miss one therapy session, and don't call in. Then you get, those are three things that could happen. Even if you're not dirty, you just miss the UA. You can go make the UA up the next day. And then if you miss a therapy session and they tell you don't miss a therapy session, then 6 months later you miss a therapy session. That's another knock on your thing.
Yeah.
Then you miss a phone call with them, but then you call an hour late, but then they talk to you, but they still note on there that you didn't call. So then boom, you violated after 3 times.
So basically what she's saying is that once you get into the system, you're not getting out of it very easily, because especially if you do any amount of time, then your probation or your parole time is going to be a lot of years. A lot, right? Like 3 years. And to be on parole or probation for 3 years and have to toe the line, you got to be pretty much perfect. Otherwise, you're going back, right?
Yeah.
Or you're always scared. You're always scared. You're always looking in your rearview mirror. You always think somebody's following you.
No, like literally. I can't still, people I see cars.
And you're not even on parole.
I'm not on probation. I'm not on anything. And I still see, like, if I see somebody in their car when I pull out of the street, off of our street, and I go past the new mailboxes, and someone's just at that street right there, I see someone sitting there, and I automatically wonder, why are they just sitting there? Why are they just sitting there?
Yeah.
Is that the feds? Who are they watching? I mean, like, for real. I don't look at parked cars the same. Like, if it's just a random parked car, could
Yeah.
be someone looking for directions, because I pull over to get directions on my GPS, and I have to tell
Yeah.
myself that sometimes. I literally do. If there's somebody parked too close, like just sitting there on our street,
Yeah.
I automatically do a mental check of like, self-check. What have you done? Have you been? Where have
Which
you
is
been?
really sad because nothing.
Right. Literally. Have I talked to anybody? Like, have I gone anywhere? Nope. I mean, did I go on the wrong website? I wasn't supposed to, like, whatever. And yeah, like literally I live my life like that now.
So your younger self would say, slow your roll.
Yeah.
Think about your consequences.
Think before you do anything. Just
And find other things that are exciting, because once you get into that kind of excitement, you think that life is not exciting, life is boring.
And if you want to be a stripper, save your money, honey, because guess what? You can't do it forever. Straight up, I made a lot of money dancing, and I wish I would have saved that shit. So yeah, if that's what you're on, save that money, baby, because you won't look like that forever, girlfriend.
All right. Well, on that note, I think that this was a pretty good episode, and we're just going to wrap it up because we want to make these a little bit shorter so that people are going to want to watch through the video. And again, if you love it, please like, subscribe, share, and also put in the comments
What you want to talk about?
what you guys want us to talk about.
Because
and
we
we'd
will
love
do
to.
that. Yep.
All right. Well, from the inside out, Tiffany,
you.
it's a wrap.
Bye.
I don't